Hello, I'm Arizal, and today I want to talk about a controversy between the Mekubalim, the scholars of Kabbalah, whether Tzimtzum kipshuto or not kipshuto, whether we must take this notion of the contraction, the Tzimtzum, where Hashem made place for all the worlds to be in, literally, or whether we must take all this in a more abstract way, more as a parable. Now, why shouldn't it be kipshuto? Why can't we take this in the simplest way as it is written in the writings of Arizal? After all, right at the beginning, there was only Hashem in existence. And in order to have anything other than Him, which is really us, there must have been a procedure where He had to give place, physical place, for anything else but Him. Now, taking this in a simplistic way was especially difficult for the Hasidic rabbis, because the notion that there is indeed any space devoid of divine light, of His light, even only as a transitory stage before the creation of the world, is something which cannot be accepted. The light of Hashem is everywhere, all the time, never changes, and will be like that forever. And indeed, if we think deeper about this notion of giving place, we may come to a conclusion that a real physical place isn't really necessary. Because with Hashem, everything is in infinite unity. And if Hashem wills something, then Him and His will are one. It's not something additional, external to Him. So, if He wishes for matter to be, if He wishes creation to be, then it's already there, in a certain way, inside His light. Of course, it is absorbed in His light, but there is no need for Him to give place for it. It's just part of Him. All the creation is one with Him, is united with Him. Now, if indeed there is something which really contradicts His light, is something which is against His will, and His enabling other wills, other volitions to be there in existence, the free choice He gave human beings, the appearance that we can decide and do whatever we want, even if it's against His will, that's a real blot, or what seems like a place which is devoid of His light. So actually, free choice, that's the real Tzimtzum. And indeed, it is said in the writings of Mekubalim that the Tzimtzum was in the Sfirat Malchut. Now we will talk about the traits of Hashem, which are called Sefirot Be'ezrat Hashem later, but indeed the last of them is called the Sefirat Malchut, which is His sovereignty. And when He gave place for free choice, that could really be described as the trait of His sovereignty being emptied of light. But for the physical existence of things, there's no real need for any giving of place. So all this is really Tzimtzum not kipshuto, taking the contraction not in a simplistic way. Really, all this is implied in the writings themselves of Arizal, because even he, when he talks about Hashem retreating His light from this certain sphere, this certain circle of darkness, which is the place for all the worlds to be in, he says that even when the light retreated, a remnant of that light, which is called Roshem in Hebrew, or Reshimu in Aramaic, which is a trace of that, of His infinite light, remained there in the space of Tzimtzum also. So even Arizal himself says that this contraction is not the physical creation of empty space for matter to be in. Now, Haramchal, another great commentator of Kabbalah, says it in a slightly different way, but he's also in the opinion that the Tzimtzum is not to be taken in a simplistic way, and he says that the Tzimtzum was actually Hashem taking away from that inner space where all worlds are the infinity aspect of his light. So he also thinks that nothing really changed. It's just that at the beginning all was really absorbed in his light, in his infinite light, as I already said. And after Tzimtzum, infinite aspect of the things already included there was removed from that halal Tzimtzum, so that limits and boundaries, as we know them in the world, could now be in existence. In my opinion, as I see it, Tzimtzum kipshuto, regarding the Tzimtzum in a simplistic way, is possible, but it's a bit superficial, and it's quite okay to look at it this way when we begin to study this lore. But if we want to go deeper, we understand that really there could be no place devoid of the light of Hashem, and that indeed our free choice, that's the thing that has to be fixed in order for the light of Hashem to spread in the world. Indeed, the light of the Kav penetrating the space of Tzimtzum, as we've talked about in earlier lessons, understanding Tzimtzum not kipshuto, as I've explained, that's really the process when it is discovered gradually that really there is nothing but the will of Hashem. It was just hidden, but really everything eventually will be revealed as serving His purpose of bringing good to all creation. So that's all for now. Stay with us in our next lesson of A Guide to the Depths of the Torah, where I'm going with Hashem to speak about the 10 spheres, the 10 Sefirot, which are so much talked about in the law of Kabbalah. So until then, goodbye.